What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today we want to have the big time Senior Bowl recap of 2023. The Senior Bowl is now officially over and we're headed into the draft season completely with combines and pro days coming up, and then the draft officially being there sooner rather than later as well. But today I want to look at 15 players at the Senior Bowl that are playing at a position of need for the Chicago Bears that really impressed me, and the Bears should definitely be on a lookout for those players. I'm super excited. Draft season is so damn exciting. I haven't scouted lots of those guys yet because I've already mentioned in the previous video, if you want to, feel free to check that out as well, about the Shrine Bowl. I had to do exams, so I'm just getting started with scouting those players, but I got to some players at the Senior Bowl already. But we're also want to talk about how those players did specifically on the Senior Bowl, so I feel like I can talk about those players nonetheless. So without further ado, let's actually get started and look at the first position group that we want to look at today, which is the wide receivers. And with the wide receivers, I want to start off with the guy that impressed me the most all week long, even though I think he only practiced for 2 entire days, which is Nathaniel Tank Dell. Tank Dell is 5'8", 163 pounds, out of Houston, and man, this guy looked absolutely incredible in every single rep that he took. I mean, the guy is just insanely fast and quick, one of the best route runners I've seen at the Senior Bowl, definitely the best route runner, and just a sure-handed wide receiver, elite separator already, doesn't waste any steps at the top of the route, sells fades like it's nothing, like he's just looking absolutely incredible out there and just won every single rep that he took. His release package is incredible. The only thing that will probably lower his draft stock, which is great for the Chicago Bears, is that he is 5'8", and his role at 163 pounds will probably be limited. He still needs to add some weight to his frame, some mass. I don't think it will actually just affect him from a agility or route running standpoint, but it's still like the process to getting there will probably just turn down some teams, but the Bears would gladly take him as a weapon for Justin Fields. This would be just a elite slot wide receiver that can separate on every single play and would just be that perfect security blanket for Justin Fields. And the guy, in addition, is also fast as hell. He can take the top of a defense. One heck of a player. The next guy that we want to look at today is Michael Wilson, the second wide receiver on the list. 6'1", 216 pounds, a bit of a different wide receiver than Tank Dell, but just like Tank Dell, an incredible route runner as well, especially for his height. Dominated all week long with great hands, some crazy catches. He has good speed, not elite speed, but good speed as well. And then just like with Tank Dell, absolute beautiful releases. Those slant routes look just so crisp. Made every single corner, it seems like, to turn his entire hips, which was beautiful. And he dominated all week long and also showed out at the Senior Bowl game. So he was definitely a big-time riser out of Stanford. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, this guy would be a dream pickup for the Bears that could also play big slot, outside, very versatile player as well. And he was definitely one of the big-time standouts as well. As for the third wide receiver that we want to look at today is Jaden Reed out of Michigan State, 5'10", 192 pounds. And just again, like, I think route running is one of the most important aspects for a wide receiver in the modern NFL, and the guy absolutely, just like Tank Dell, is a elite separator with great releases and just overall a big time release package. Made some really good concentration catches as well, like on deep routes. Over the shoulder catches looked really regular to him, and then just once again an absolute burner that could take off the top of a defense. I think at 5'10", 192 pounds, he's a bit more of a skinny player. I think he will probably just project as a slot in the NFL as well, but I don't totally care with him. Like, this guy is just like Tank Dell, a great separator, ran every route like his life depends on it, and just absolutely dominated all week long as well. And honestly, I don't care who the Bears get for the wide receivers, but if it's one of those three guys, I would be absolutely happy. Three bomb players, like really good players there at the Senior Bowl that I really liked. And then for some honorable mentions for the wide receivers, I was really excited for Xavier Hutchinson out of Iowa State. He made some really good catches. Like, he just showed what he showed on tape. He's not the best separator, but he runs some good routes. He does not have the best speed, but he has decent speed. But what he does so well is locate the football, just put his body in the superior position and then catch that football, which he definitely did all week long. He was physical, so he's definitely a good target for the Bears to look at for the draft as well. Jonathan Mingo and Rashee Rice had some rough starts to the Senior Bowl practice week, but at the last day, they really showed out, especially Rashee Rice out of SMU. Was happy for him. He looks really good on tape. Problem for me just right now is that he doesn't have that much of a expanded route tree, so he has to work on it, and you definitely saw it against good competition here at the Senior Bowl that he did struggle at times, but like I said, he caught up at the third practice day and really looked nice. And then the last guy as a honorable mention is Ronnie Bell out of Michigan. I think just like DJ Daniel Jeremiah said, he really is that type of Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of player. He can play outside. He doesn't have the super good speed, but he's a pretty good separator, runs some good routes, sure-handed, made some great catches. And Ronnie Bell definitely in the later rounds could be a steal for any type of team. Just that security blanket, the guy that you can trust on third down, and that can just make some big-time plays for you, but doesn't always shine out from the rest of the speedy wide receivers or something. But man, Ronnie Bell out of Michigan, really underrated player to look out for as well. So with that, I want to finish off the wide receivers and move on to the next position group that we want to look at today, which is the running backs. And I know running back is not the biggest position of need for the Chicago Bears, but I had to include this guy. There was no way around him, and that's Tyjae Spears out of Tulane, 5'9", 204 pounds. And man, this guy is just an absolute playmaker. I mean, he will probably project for the first couple of years in the league as a third down back because he's not as polished as a runner yet, but or as a 3-down back yet. But overall, this guy has massive speed, quickness. He can make guys miss, and then in the passing game, he would just be a dream pickup for the Chicago Bears in this draft, no matter where they get him. Like, I think he's definitely a potential third round, fourth round pick, no matter what, because this guy's just such a special talent. But I think a lot of people saw that clip by now where he just absolutely destroyed that pit linebacker with that somewhat, what was it, a whip route out of the backfield and just dipped under his back arm and just, I mean, this is just incredible ability right there by Tyjae Spears. Looked good all week long, straight, great cuts, just presses the line well when he runs the football, decisive cuts, reads the gaps. Like, this guy is the real deal and will be a insanely great addition to the Bears offense just for Justin Fields as a option to hand it off to, or as well just throw it to him because he's such a special player with the ball in his hands. But overall would just be a great addition to the Chicago Bears running back room as well. And as for an honorable mention real quick, I think Eric Gray out of Oklahoma looked real good as well, especially in the Senior Bowl game. He's a bit more of a powerful runner, but also really quick in space, and I really think he's one of the better pass catchers out of the draft as well, so he looked real solid as well. And with that being said, it finishes off the running backs, and we will move on to the offensive line. As for the offensive line, I want to start off with the offensive tackles, and there are lots and lots of great players at the Senior Bowl. Like, the offensive line class was absolutely phenomenal, but I want to start off with DeJuan Jones, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I think he definitely played himself out of the reach for the Chicago Bears in the second round. He's, I think, by now a surefire first-round pick, 6'8", 375 pounds, and a 89.5 wingspan. Like, absolutely incredible. I think that's the widest one they ever measured at the Senior Bowl, or I don't know what it was. But when you looked at him in the drills, I mean, he absolutely dominated one-on-ones. His wingspan is just incredible, out of this world, like literally, and just powerful. Great feed for his size, like 6'8", 375 pounds. That's a heavy, huge human, and the guy just moves quick, dominated everybody. Like Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame just completely pancaked him without any effort. incredible player, but he's definitely rising draft ranks real fast. As for the second guy that I want to talk about is Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee, 6'5", 342 pounds. He's definitely a player that's not as clean as DeJuan Jones when we look at the tape and the reps, but man, he's also a very powerful tackle, real good all week long still. He had his moments, but I think everybody does. It's one-on-ones, everything can happen, and I just love the feet, the quickness. He can take over guys. He can really just drop his butt and anchor. At times he just, I think, exposes his chest too much, or at least he did it once or twice at the Senior Bowl that week, but overall he would be an incredible addition for the Chicago Bears offensive line. We need protection. We need to protect Justin Fields, and him at right tackle would be an amazing immediate starter option to have. I don't know where he exactly goes. He could sneak into the back end of the first round, but potential to be there in the second round as well. It would be a really good pick for the Bears in the second round, so really loved what I saw out of him. And then the third tackle that I want to mention is Blake Freeland out of BYU, offensive tackle, 6'7", 312 pounds. Very versatile player. He can play at both spots, left tackle, right tackle. I think he looked more natural so far at left tackle, but at right tackle he was really solid as well. And I would obviously love it more as a right tackle because I think Braxton Jones, I still have faith in him that he could potentially be a long-term starter for the Bears. But nonetheless, we need help at the tackle spot, so it doesn't really matter by the end of the day. But Blake Freeland, overall, really athletic tackle with great frame, strong week all week long as well, and I think he's definitely a second to early third round option as well for the Bears too. That could be very intriguing. So that finishes off the offensive tackles. Let's move on to the interior, actually. First guy that I have to mention as the first guy is definitely Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State University, 6'4", 305 pounds. And I mean, the theme for him this week was, or last week, was just definitely domination. Played everywhere on the line, from center to guard spots to tackle spots. Just displayed his versatility, which is definitely key with him as well, and his draft stock. In pass pro, just dropped his butt and anchored people. Real powerful with his hands. Run game, constant leg drive. Love that. Big time power. And if you pick him up, that would be a dream pick for the Bears because he's so versatile. You can put him wherever you want him. He looked real sharp at every single spot. And then let's just imagine Cody Whitehair not being here anymore. You got Cody Mauch at left guard, Tevin Jenkins at right guard. You'll probably take another center later in this draft. I'm going to talk about the centers in a second. And man, that will be just one of the nastiest offensive lines in the league. Mauch also looks like a typical offensive lineman, no teeth at the front. I mean, just incredible player. Seems really nice from the interviews, what I saw, and it would be an absolute home run hit for the Bears to get in potentially even round 2. As for the second guy I want to talk about is John Michael Schmitz. Same with Cody Mauch. Absolute domination. He's 6'3", 306 pounds out of Minnesota, and I thought he was even more insane all week long. Obviously, center is not that highly valued in round 1, but this guy could definitely sneak into round 1 because he just was absolutely dominant all week long. Looked amazing on screens, real fast out there on the second level, had great angles to block, and then in one-on-ones with defensive linemen, just anchored and just dominated, stonewalled everybody all week long. I mean, this guy would be probably my favorite pickup for the Bears in the draft because center is really underrated and super important, especially for your young quarterback. But, I mean, if he's there early in round 2, I would even suggest like trading up or whatever it is to get him because this guy is absolutely amazing and I would love seeing him in a Chicago Bears uniform. And speaking of centers, third guy on the list is Olusegun Oluwatimi, 6'2", 308 pounds out of Michigan. I hope I pronounced that name correctly, but this guy also dominated all week long, stonewalled interior defensive lineman. I think the thing that kind of separates him from John Michael Schmitz is the athletic ability and the size a bit. Schmitz is a bit bigger and a bit more fast in the second level, but Oluwatimi looked absolutely incredible in the second level as well. Had some great blocks all week long. And I mean, if Schmitz is not there, I think Oluwatimi would be a great, acceptable second choice for a center of the future and could also be a 10+ years potential starter in the league as well. As for the offensive linemen, some honorable mentions. Steve Avila out of TCU, offensive offensive guard, looked incredible as well. He will probably also be a second-round pick. Like I said, the offensive lineman in this draft looked way too good. It's incredible, but he is really strong in the run game, and the pass pro just anchored well as well. And then for the offensive tackles, a guy I wanted to talk about a bit more, but I just want to keep it with 15 players. It's going to be a long video regardless, is Matthew Bergeron, offensive tackle out of Syracuse. One of my favorite tackles in the draft, actually, as well. I think he's incredible, has great feet, quick feet, can really dominate as a pass pro or as a pass blocker as well. And in the run game, really had some great big-time key blocks all week long as well. So he's definitely a guy that Bears fans specifically should look out for as well. And with the offensive line, we finish it off and go to the defensive side of the football and talk about the defensive linemen next. As for the defensive lineman, I want to start off with guy number 1 on the list, Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin. 6'3", 312 pounds. Really impressed me all week long as well. For a defensive lineman, we need it. We don't have good pass rush. We don't have good run stuffers. And Keanu Benton, just a guy with really quick hands, fast first step. Love that about his game as well. And then just speaking of his hands, just really violent hands, just pushing and punching people almost at the line. Looks really nice. And then just also very good variety already for an interior defensive lineman of several rush moves. Good in the run defense as well, holding gaps and being patient, and overall just a really good prospect for the Bears to look at into day 2, maybe really early day 3, but I think there's no real chance that he leaves day 2 undrafted. As for the second guy that also impressed all week long is Carl Brooks out of Bowling Green, 6'3", 303 pounds. I mean, also, just with Benton, amazing hands, real powerful, love the first step. Could be a great 3-tech option later in the draft if we don't get maybe Jalen Carter, who knows. And also really gap sound player as well in the run game. So Keanu Benton and Carl Brooks, 2 really intriguing defensive line prospects at the Senior Bowl. And with that, we want to move on from the defensive line and talk about the second to last position group today, which is the edge rushers. As for one of the 2 edge rushers that I want to talk about today is Isaiah Foskey, edge out of Notre Dame, 6'4", 362 pounds, and just a very athletic and productive edge at Notre Dame. Overall, honestly didn't have the best week overall at Senior Bowl, but he definitely showed flashes of his potential. He should test really well at the combine, and overall had one amazing rep against Ryan Hayes, who just completely exposed his chest. And Isaiah Foskey recognized that real quick, went from speed to power, engaged to the chest, and just completely drove him into the ground. I think overall he has tons of talent, but he still needs to get a bit better at deciding which rush move to use at times, because there was a rep where he totally misjudged it and just went with a spin move. And overall, I think he's still a very talented player that could help the Bears to get better with the pass rush. As for guy number 2 that I want to talk about is Derek Hall, edge out of Auburn, 6'2", 252 pounds. Really dominant week from him. Really powerful all week long. Great combination as well with his 83-inch wingspan. And just overall, sets the edge real well, reads the run patiently, like he looked really good in the run defense, and the speed to power is also in addition with his great hand placement at times, really deadly as well. So Derek Hall and Isaiah Foskey, really 2 players also at day 2, day 3, maybe, depending on how the rest of the draft season goes for those players that could be big-time playmakers to help get the Bears, more pass rush and just get overall a better defensive line or a better defensive line product on the field. So 2 intriguing prospects, really like those. And with those 2 edge rushers, I'm going to move on to the last position group, which is the linebackers. And for the linebackers, it's pretty much just only one guy that I want to talk about. I think we have a solid linebacking core, especially with Jack Sanborn, last year's undrafted free agent, who just looked really good as well. But I still want to talk about Ivan Pace Jr. out of Cincinnati, 5'10", 231 pounds. This guy also looked really incredible in the pass rush drills against the running backs, just dominated every single rep. He may be a bit undersized, I understand that, and that might turn down some draft scouts or whatever, but overall I think that doesn't matter to me because this guy can rush the pass. He's really solid in the run game as well. He flies over the field super quick, and in coverage looked really good as well. Some really nice reps, good closing speed overall, and the guy's just 100% on every single play. I think that's the type of linebacker that you want in that Matt Eberflus defense. Also, one play from the Senior Bowl game was absolutely hilariously good. He just basically hit-sticked Osiris Torrance, a surefire first-round pick guard in that game. I mean, just totally laid him on the ground. Powerful player with tons of energy. Would love to have him as an addition to the Bears linebacking core to even more up the play of the Bears linebacking core and Matt Eberflus's defense. And with that wraps up the positions that we want to look at today. 15 players that could be big-time draft targets for the Chicago Bears come the 2023 NFL Draft. I think Ryan Poles has tons of options to look at. I mean, the draft class is super deep. You have tons of talent. Senior Bowl was so much fun to look at from the first practice to the actual game. You have so many great players there, and I left out so many good players as well, but I just honestly didn't get to them as well because I just didn't have that much time. But overall, it will be a fun time. Definitely expect the mock draft 1.0 over the next couple of days. And with that being said, that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think are the most intriguing players of the 2023 Senior Bowl. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.